My fiancé said, "I'm in survival mode. You either help me or get out of the way." I replied, "Then I'm gone." By midnight, her wedding folder was deleted, her clothes were boxed, and her sister was at my door saying Paige had just ruined everything. Original post: I'm Nalan, 34M. Paige is 31F. We were together a little over 3 years and engaged for 7 months. She'd been living in my townhouse in Raleigh for just under a year. Mortgage in my name, utilities in my name. Most of the furniture mine because I bought the place before I met her. At first, Paige was easy to love. She worked in event marketing and had that polished energy that made everyone feel like they were already on her side. I'm quieter. I'm a logistics coordinator for a medical supply company. I like schedules, clear plans, and knowing where things stand. For a while, we balanced each other out. Then her company lost a major account in January, and everything in our relationship started getting filtered through one phrase. Survival mode. At first I understood. Her commissions dropped. Her boss was riding her every day. She said she felt like one mistake away from losing her job. I stepped up without making a show of it, covered more groceries. Paid utilities alone for 2 months, picked up her dry cleaning. Brought dinner home when she forgot to eat, listened when she cried and said she felt like she was drowning. I thought it was temporary. I didn't realize it was becoming her excuse for everything. If I asked when she'd be home, she'd say, "Nalan, I'm in survival mode. I don't have time for check-ins." If I asked her not to leave half-empty coffee cups and makeup all over the bathroom sink, she'd say I was focused on clutter while she was trying to survive. If I brought up my own stress, she shut it down. The moment that really stuck was when I told her my dad had a heart procedure scheduled in Charlotte and I was worried. She looked at me and said, "I can't carry your emotions too." I'm barely holding myself together. That was the shift. After that I got smaller. I stopped bringing up plans, stopped asking questions, stopped expecting much. Meanwhile, she still expected full access to me, my house, my weekends, my car when hers was in the shop. My credit card for vendor lunches, she swore she'd pay back later. Survival mode only seemed to apply in one direction. The end came on a Thursday night in April. My dad's follow-up appointment got moved up, and my mom asked if I could drive down Saturday because she didn't want to make the trip alone. I said yes immediately. That evening Paige came home irritated, dropped her bag on the bench, said her boss had thrown a last-minute charity brunch at her for Sunday and she needed Saturday to prep centerpieces, inventory bins, vendor lists, all of it. Then she said, "You're still helping me, right?" I told her I couldn't. I said I was going with my parents to Charlotte and had already committed. She stared at me for a second and laughed once. Sharp, mean. "So your mother needs a chauffeur and that outranks everything I have going on." I said, "It's my dad's heart appointment, Paige," and that's when she said it. "I'm in survival mode, Nalan. You either help me or get out of the way." No emotion. No hesitation, just entitlement. I looked at her for maybe 2 seconds and said, "Then I'm gone." She blinked. "What?" I said, "The wedding's off. We're done. You can figure out survival mode without me." Then came the noise. "Oh my God, you are so dramatic. You're really ending an engagement over one sentence. You always make everything about yourself." I didn't argue. I walked upstairs, pulled 2 suitcases out of the closet and started packing her clothes. That changed her tone immediately. "Nalan, stop. Nalan, you know I didn't mean it like that. Nalan, you cannot just do this because I'm stressed." I kept folding shirts. She started pulling things back out, so I handed her an empty suitcase and said, "Take what you want tonight. I'll box the rest tomorrow." At around 1030 she stormed out, got in her car and texted me, "Hope your family is worth ruining your life over." I replied once, "They are." Then I blocked her. That same night I froze the wedding payments. We were going to lose the venue deposit, but that hurt less than marrying someone who heard my father's medical scare and turned it into a competition. I canceled the florist consultation, paused the honeymoon booking, and stacked every bridal magazine she'd brought into my house in a box by the downstairs office. I slept 8 straight hours. Saturday, I drove to Charlotte with my mom. My dad's appointment went okay. On the way back, my mom asked why Paige hadn't called or texted. I told her everything. She got quiet and then said, "Thank God she showed you before the wedding." That line turned the whole thing from heartbreak into escape. Sunday night, Paige's sister Lauren started pounding on my front door. I checked the camera first. Then I opened the door with the storm door still locked. Lauren came in hot. "Paige made one bad comment and you blew up a whole engagement," I said. "Paige told me to either help her or get out of the way. So I did." Lauren said Paige was under pressure. I said my father was on an EKG table. Then came the guilt play. "Paige hasn't stopped crying. She says you blocked her like she was nothing." I said no. I blocked her after she made it clear what I was to her. Lauren asked if Paige could come get more clothes. I told her Tuesday evening while I was home. She rolled her eyes and left. Tuesday came. Paige came with Lauren. No apology, just cold silence. She packed 2 more bags, grabbed our framed engagement photo and said, "I hope this makes you feel powerful." I said no. "It makes me feel finished." That was the original post. I thought it was over. It wasn't. Update 1: 4 days later, the flying monkey started. First, it was her friend Shelby texting from an unknown number about closure and compassion. I replied once. She got closure when she told me my family emergency was in her way. Then I blocked the number. After that, one of her coworkers, Ethan, found me on LinkedIn and sent a message about grace and communication. I copied Paige's exact words into my reply. He never answered. Paige herself stayed quiet for almost a week. Then she showed up outside my gym at 6:15 in the morning. She was leaning against her car wearing my old blue hoodie and full regret makeup. I stopped 10 feet away and said, "Paige, no." She said she just wanted 5 minutes. I said I didn't. Then the tears appeared. She said she was sleeping on Lauren's couch, said work was falling apart, said I had abandoned her in the one season she needed me most. Then she reached for my arm. I stepped back. That's when the edge came back into her voice. "You are really doing all this over one sentence?" I said no. "I'm doing this over what that sentence revealed." Then I left. That afternoon, she posted one of those vague black and white Instagram stories. Crazy how some people leave when you're drowning. 3 mutuals messaged me. I ignored 2. The third asked if I had really thrown her out with nowhere to go. I sent a screenshot showing Lauren picking her up the night she left. He apologized immediately. A week later, I came home to a grocery bag hanging from my front door. Inside was my old concert shirt she used to sleep in, the spare garage remote I forgot she still had, and a folded engagement party thank you card. On the inside she had written, "I was surviving. You were supposed to understand. No apology, just blame in cursive." I kept the note. Then something good happened. I got promoted to operations lead for our Southeast accounts. Better title, better money, better future. I used part of the raise to buy new patio furniture with money that would have gone toward the wedding. Of course, Paige noticed. The Saturday after my promotion, Lauren called me from a number I didn't know. She said she needed to tell me something before Paige did something stupid. Apparently, Paige had been telling people I emotionally abandoned her during a mental health crisis. The story kept growing. Now it was that I had thrown her out in the middle of the night with nowhere safe to go. I asked why Lauren was suddenly being honest. She said Paige told their mother that I refused to help after an anxiety diagnosis. There was no diagnosis, no doctor, nothing. Their mother asked for proof. Paige had none. 2 hours later, Paige's mother called me. She asked one question. "Did Paige really tell you to get out of the way over your father's appointment?" I said yes. Then I forwarded Paige's text to Lauren from that same night complaining that I had chosen my dramatic family over her event prep. Her mother read it while I was on the phone. Then she said, "I'm sorry." An hour later, Paige called me 16 times from blocked numbers, new numbers, even a vendor line. One voicemail said I had turned her own mother against her. I saved all of it. Update 2: things got uglier 2 weeks later. By then, I had started seeing someone casually. Her name was Avery. I met her through a Saturday-run club downtown. She was 29, worked in pediatric occupational therapy, and being around her felt easy. That alone told me how warped my baseline had gotten. I hadn't posted her anywhere. Hadn't introduced her around. But Raleigh is basically a group chat with highways, so of course Paige found out. First it was flowers at my office. White arrangement, small envelope tucked in the middle, for the man who was supposed to be my safe place. No signature, didn't need one. I photographed it and told reception not to accept personal deliveries for me again. That night Paige emailed my work address. Subject line, "You move on fast." Body, "Hope she enjoys the version of you I built." I replied once, "Do not contact me at work again." The next morning security called upstairs and said a woman in the lobby was claiming to be my fiancée and refusing to leave without speaking to me. I told them she was my ex-fiancée and to escort her out. While they walked her outside, she started crying loudly enough for half the lobby to hear. "He's punishing me for having a hard season. I just need closure." Security still escorted her out. That afternoon, HR asked if I wanted help documenting unwanted contact. That was when it stopped feeling like drama and started feeling like a case file. So I made one: screenshots, voicemails, Ring camera clips, the flower card, the work email. The gym incident. A timeline with dates and times. My friend Shane from compliance helped me organize it into a folder boring enough to win in court. 3 nights later, Paige crossed the line. Avery and I were at a small Italian restaurant in North Hills. Halfway through dinner, Avery glanced toward the entrance and said, "I think someone is staring at us." It was Paige. She was wearing the cream sweater I had bought her on our Asheville trip. She walked straight to the table like she belonged there. Avery sat back, calm. Paige looked at me and said, "So this is what surviving looks like for you." I said, "Paige, leave." She ignored me and looked at Avery. "Did he tell you he abandons women when they're struggling?" Avery said, "I think you need to go." Paige grabbed the water glass off the table and dumped it into Avery's lap. Everything after that happened fast. I stood up. Avery shoved her chair back. The server yelled for a manager. Paige started crying the second other people looked over and kept saying she only wanted to talk. The manager called police. I showed them the emails, the missed calls, the office incident. Avery gave her statement. The restaurant had camera footage. Paige got a criminal trespass warning and was told not to contact me again. The officer looked at the file on my phone and said, "Sir, file for a protective order first thing Monday." So I did. Monday morning I took a half day, drove downtown and filed for a 1-year no-contact order. That night a voicemail came in from another new number. Her exact words were, "I was drowning and you left me to die." I saved that too, because no, I didn't leave her to die. I left her to face consequences without me cushioning them. Final update: court was 3 weeks later. Paige showed up in a beige dress with soft makeup and her hair pulled back like she was auditioning for the role of harmless woman. Her attorney tried the obvious angle: miscommunication, high stress, a broken engagement where emotions got messy. My attorney barely had to speak. The evidence did the work. The judge read the office email, heard the voicemail, reviewed the restaurant report, watched the gym parking lot footage where Paige blocked my path with her car. Then she looked at Paige and asked the question that ended it. "If he was so unsafe, why did you keep pursuing contact after he clearly ended the relationship?" Paige cried, said she was trying to fix things, said she was in survival mode and spiraled when I pulled away, said I had been her anchor. The judge leaned back and said, "Other people are not life rafts you are entitled to climb onto after you set them on fire." Order granted. 1 year, no calls, no texts, no third-party contact. Stay 500 feet away from me, my home, and my workplace. After court, Paige tried one last soft voice move in the parking lot, by saying my name like I was supposed to turn around and rescue her from consequences. Her attorney grabbed her arm before she got 2 steps toward me. About a month later, her company let her go. I don't know whether it was the courthouse absences, the office stunt, or the fact that one of her vendor meltdown emails went to the wrong client. I only heard because Lauren called to apologize for defending Paige for so long. She said I kept thinking she was just under pressure, but she always has a pressure story, exactly. Avery and I kept seeing each other slowly, normally. No performance, no chaos. My dad is doing better too. Cardiac rehab 3 times a week, complaining about the music and flirting with the nurses, which means he's basically back to himself. The strangest part is how simple life feels when you stop volunteering to be misunderstood. For months, I thought being supportive meant translating disrespect into stress and selfishness into struggle. I thought love meant absorbing every hit because the other person was having a hard time, but stress does not excuse character. It reveals it. Paige loved the phrase survival mode because it made her sound fragile and heroic at the same time. Like any damage she caused was just proof of how hard she had it. But survival is getting through difficulty without turning your partner into equipment. It is not demanding loyalty while offering none. It is not hearing my father's medical scare and deciding your event prep matters more. The truth is simple. Paige did not want a fiancé. She wanted infrastructure. She wanted money, rides, emotional buffering, access, and someone to stand still while every storm in her life became the center of the map. The second I stepped out of that role, she panicked. Not because she lost true love. Because she lost support she thought she controlled. I don't feel guilty. I didn't abandon someone in crisis. I stopped enabling someone who used crisis as a weapon. And honestly, my house feels lighter now. My phone is quieter. My weekends belong to me again. No bridal magazines. No emergency vendor runs. No being told I'm selfish for loving my own family. Just peace. Real peace. If you've ever dealt with someone who used stress as a free pass to treat you badly, comment below and tell me what happened or what you think about this story. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share so you never miss the next one.